Hey, good morning and welcome everybody to another episode of Marketing Monday. My name is Ira Bowman. I'm your host, and today we're going to be covering two really important topics that are frankly one and the same, or part of a larger picture here. But the picture is business communication and marketing strategies that actually work today in 2024. I have seen from my experience, I have an interesting purview as the owner of a marketing firm. I've seen what works change over the last couple years. There's been changes in social media and changes in the effectiveness of business communication as a whole. And for whatever reason, I'm noticing a lot of people are failing to adapt their strategies, their techniques, what they're implementing, and therefore their results are sputtering or stuttering or not gaining the traction that they used to, but they don't know what to do differently. And therefore, their sales pipeline is deplete or not as full, if you will, as people want it to be. Well, how can we help? Pretty simple. I'm going to walk you through today in 60 minutes. I'm going to do my best to get it done in just an hour. Um, some things that you can do to change your strategies, to change your processes, and to garner better results. It's all centered around communication, business communication. So we're going to look at it at a high level, like a 30,000 foot view, if you will. And then we're going to get into some of the specific components and give you some strategies, some techniques that you can implement no matter if you are a business owner, if you're in marketing, if you're a sales rep, or even if you're just support staff for your company. Everybody's job inside a company is to help with sales. Everybody has an opportunity to share the brand message, to reach out and establish relationships, and to encourage those who aren't already clients to become clients, and to take care of those who are clients so that they'll stay with you for the long run. This is a long-term strategy that we're going to be talking about today, although some of the things you can do quickly and implement them, and we'll get into that a little bit further in the show. But first, let's talk about communication, because business communication, for whatever reason, seems to be a major problem. I put out a post. I'm going to pull it up and share my screen. I just got to find it real quick. So I put up a post a couple weeks ago, and I actually took last Monday off for whatever reason. I think I wasn't feeling well, but I was going to do this particular topic last week and then had to skip it. So we'll get into it this week. But in the post, I detail some of the problems that people are having with their business communication, and then I give some strategy on what to do about it. So we're going to pull up this post and we're going to start the show here. Let me encourage you, anywhere along the way, if you have a question about anything that I'm saying, feel free to put your questions in the comments. I will share them live on the screen, and then we'll talk about the answers. But while I'm waiting for any questions or feedback to come in, I'm going to talk about this post once I get it, and I'm almost there. I think I'm almost there. I might have passed it already. Hang on a second. I'm trying to drive this thing and pull up a post at the same time. I apologize for my inefficiency here. Well, shoot, I'm not seeing the post now. Where did it go? I have another post that was pretty good on obstacles, but that's not actually. Oh, here we go. Here we go. We got it. Okay, let me share my screen and pull this thing up for y'all to see. Apologize. I probably should have a producer on the show to help me, but I fly solo around here on the show. Okay, so here we go. And I know it's kind of small. Let me make it bigger, and that'll make it easier for y'all to see. All right, that's not the post I want to show you. This is the post I want to show you. How to not blow it with prospects and clients comes down to a couple simple truths. And this is business communication that we're talking about, right? One of those, perhaps second only to your integrity, is the style and method of business communication. The topic is so critical to success that I'll devote my next Marketing Mondays with Ira Bowman show about it. Now, again, I missed last week, so if you missed me, you didn't miss the show. I just didn't air. I didn't go live last week. All right. But here are some tips to help you if you're struggling to convert prospects to clients. Now, this goes for those of you that are having trouble even getting prospects in the forecast, right? You identify these companies or these individuals out there that should be interested in what you do based on your ideal client profile. Or in other words, they might be in the right industry, they might have the right title, like a business owner, or maybe you sell to, service-based clients, whatever the case is, whatever your profile of who should be interested, then you go inside of that and you identify specific people and you target them to become clients, but they're not even really prospects. They're potential prospects really at that point. If you have trouble getting people to go from strangers to having conversations with you, pay close attention to this show today, because I'm gonna talk about that quite a bit. And then we're going to talk about, once they are what we would consider warm leads or warm prospects, how to move those from the warm prospect silo. That's what we call your sales pipeline in your forecast, and move them over to paid clients. Okay. So we're going to discuss this at length today. All right. So this is the first thing I want you to do. Consider their preference, their personal preference to communication. Why is that important? Well, here's why it's important. Because you are trying to sell them something, whether it's a product or a service. You are not the primary audience. You are the producer of this communication. You're trying to send them some information, whether it's a video or an email. And we're going to get into the mechanics of how you do it, how you reach out. But when you have them on the line, whether it's a Zoom call or you're standing in front of them face to face or you're on a phone, whatever the case is, you have to very quickly deduce and understand their preference for business communication. Here's what I mean. Some people are very okay with, they prefer small chat, chit chat. I call it rapport building communication. They're there to get to know you a little bit. They want to know if they can trust you. They want to know if they like you. They want to kind of feel you out to see what kind of experience you have. And ultimately, what it comes down to is they want to see if you can solve a problem for them. They have a problem that you can solve, or they will not be interested in what you're saying as far as, your business offerings, right? They might still want to get to know you as a person, but unless they really need what it is, and forget the word need for a second. We're going to come back to that too. And I think I've talked about this a lot on the show, but there's needs and there's wants. You may have something they need. They may need a shot of B12, but they may not want the shot of B12. Do you understand what I'm saying? So you have to separate very quickly two things: what it is that they want and how they want to be communicated with. Like, for example, if you're talking to Ira Bowman and you don't have an appointment with me and you get me on the phone, you better be succinct, because I am very much a stickler to my schedule. I offer people free 30-minute consultations. I don't charge for that. And I'll meet with prospective vendors who want to work as a vendor for Bowman Digital Media. And I'll meet with, obviously, prospective clients. I don't really distinguish those meetings into categories. To me, it's a meeting is a meeting. And we have it on my calendar. And there's a time for it. It has a definite start time and a definite end time. Okay? You have to understand that a lot of people are like that. They just want what you have right away. Now, there's the other end of the spectrum. They don't want to talk business with you until they know they can like and trust you. So they want the chit chat. And they're cool with you calling up while you're driving and just having a 30-minute conversation on your way to wherever you're going about the weather and what the Grammys were on last night or the Super Bowl this weekend or whatever, right? They're totally cool with talking about shooting shooting the breeze. So if you have one of those people on the line and you're talking to them and you're going straight for the uh, quick, concise message, you can rub them the wrong way. So you have to forget about your own personal preference because you're not the one that's trying to be sold here. You have to match what they want. And it seems so obvious to me. I've been in sales. If you don't know my background, I did professional business to business sales for over 2 decades. And I'm still in that space as the owner of Bowman Digital Media. I do a lot of what we call founder sales. So I do that still, right? I know because of my experience that if I deliver the information, if I communicate to whoever's on the other end of the line in the manner that they prefer, their preferred communication style, slow, fast, nothing but the facts, a lot of fat, chewing the fat, whatever it is, that I'm going to be more successful in the long run. Okay. So, my first question to you is, are you considering the individual person, the specific person that you're talking to, and their business communication preference whenever you pick up that phone, whenever you jump on that Zoom, whenever you have a meeting with someone and you actually get a chance to communicate with them live? Now, you can take that same principle and apply it to emails. You can apply it to text messages. And let me just get this out of the way too. Some people prefer text messages, and some people absolutely abhor text messages. If you send them a text message, they're like, who the hell are you to send me a text message? That's my personal cell phone, right? So you got to be really clear on what is okay and what is not okay. Let me give you a hint. If they have their cell phone number, this is a specific strategy for text messaging. If they have their cell phone number in the body, in the signature of their email address, or they have it on their business card, it's probably safe to assume that they're getting text messages, business text messages at this point, and you can send them a business text message. But the very first business text message I would send them, or when I'm talking to them face to face and they hand me that card, if I got it in person, like at a networking event or whatever, I would ask them, hey, are you okay with me sending you the occasional text? And let them tell you, because that is one of the dangers out there, is irritating a prospect. And all of this comes down to the business communication strategy here that we're talking about. Comes down to two things. The first objective is not to irritate, not to rub them the wrong way. That's goal number one. Then goal number two is to help build the rapport so that you can eventually get them to become a client, right? Then that's a process. It doesn't happen over time. At one shot. Usually it takes time. How long does it take? Well, if you're reaching out to somebody that you identified from, let's say you bought a lead list, which is very common, right? You can give marketing companies your demographics of your ICP, or what we call your ideal client profile. And they'll send you for money, of course, but you can buy these, what we call lead lists. You can call them, you can email them, you can find them on LinkedIn, you can go to their website, you can figure out what associations they're a part of sometimes and go to those networking events. There's all kinds of ways to utilize these lead lists. You can send them direct mail, which a lot of you have forgotten about for whatever reason, but a direct mail piece can be very effective because the mailboxes are pretty much empty these days, right? Your email box is stuffed, your direct messages stuffed, your voicemails not as busy, but still, semi-crowded. Text messages to a certain degree can be busy or not busy depending on the person or the market that they're in. Usually, the vertical market. Some I've found utilize SMS marketing more. SMS is just another way to say texting. So sending out text in some industries is more popular than others. Is what I'm trying to say. The mailbox is full or not as full, depending on what industry you're in, who you're talking to. Okay. Direct mail used to be so ineffective because the piles and piles and piles of junk mail that you would have in your box. But if your mailbox is anything like my mailbox and most of my clients' mailboxes, most days it's bills and there's a couple things that still come in quite regularly. Like if you're in the HVAC industry or the real estate market or let's see, what's some other ones? Maybe insurance, things like that. Then you probably still have a fair amount of direct mail that goes out. But if you're like a coach or in marketing or something like that, the odds are many of your competitors are not utilizing direct mail. So it can be a pretty effective way to reach out to prospects. But in any case, however you're reaching out to them, let me tell you a hard fact that I learned a long time ago and why the sales process is not usually very fast. Now, again, this is industry dependent. Some sales happen very fast. If you're an inside sales rep at like a retail location, or maybe you work at a car dealership or something like that, these transactions can be pretty quick. From walk in to purchase, that can happen pretty fast. Those usually are set up mostly the pre-sales are mostly set up by the marketing campaigns, the advertising that's done by the company. Right. The individual sales reps, the producers don't have to do much to get people in the door. They just have to not mess it up once they're standing in front of the person. Right. But if you're an outside business to business sales rep and you are required to develop your sales pipeline, which I had to do for over 20 years and I still do it, what you will find is that from the first time you reach out to somebody cold, they don't know who you are. They might not have ever heard of your company, any of that stuff. The first communication that you make to the time that they might agree, not become a client, but agree to a meeting, usually takes 8 to 12 separate reach outs. Now, that doesn't mean that you have to do them all the same way. 8 voicemails or 12 voicemails, you're probably, if you're leaving 8 or 12 voicemails at this day and age, or you're sending out 8 to 12 emails at this day and age, and they're not responding, that is a huge clue. In fact, I put that in the post. Let me share this screen one more time. We'll pull it up. So the preferred communication channel is my second point here, is almost as important as the message being communicated. So if you have a person, and I say it right here, I'll just read what I've got. If you're always leaving voicemails or sending emails and that person doesn't garner a response, right? They don't respond to you. You're receiving a response with the non-response is what I'm trying to say here, right? They're telling you loud and clear. They don't want to talk to you that way, whatever that way is. So if it's voicemails, you need to try something else. If you're sending them, direct message, I can't tell you how many direct messages I get on LinkedIn every single day, but it's a lot. And I get people that irritate me because they go, "Oh, I just want to bump this to the top." Well, I ignored it the first time, the third time, the fifth time. What makes you think on the seventh time is going to be any better? In fact, all you're really doing is making me want to block you at that point, right? It's irritating. So obviously, I'm not going to respond to that LinkedIn message. That's what they should be able to figure out, right? Reach out to me another way. That's probably what you need to do. And so here's a list of ideas for you, strategies on different ways that you can reach out in 2024 to your prospects. There are obviously the phone, text message, email message, a direct message on social media. So that's your DM, face-to-face meetings, of course, traditional mail. Those are the most common outreach methods. The other way that's not on here, but is a great way if you can get it, are referrals. And referrals don't always have to be from another individual. There are websites out there where you can leave reviews, online reviews, like Clutch, for example, in my industry is a big one for me. So if you go to Clutch, I think it's clutch.io or something like that. But if you go to Clutch, you can find Bowman Digital Media and you can see online reviews that my clients have left. That is a great source of new business for me because people go in there and they can see it's got like a case study of what was done. It talks about the campaign. It talks about how much they spent, how long it took, things that we did well, things that we might be able to do better in the future. And anyways, it gives you a pretty good synopsis of what's happening. But that's another message or another method for me to communicate with prospects what we do and how we can potentially help them get what they want. All right. So don't be afraid. Here's the takeaway here. There's this list of options. You know, you're probably going to have to reach out 8 to 12 times, assuming you've identified them correctly. Again, all this is null and void if you're reaching out to the wrong folks, right? But 8 to 12 communications, I would recommend at least using 3. If you've never talked to them before, at least try 3. And I would definitely suggest an email. I would suggest a phone call. I know a lot of people are afraid to talk on the phone anymore, but it's amazing how much rapport you can establish with somebody on the phone very quickly. And the phone voicemail box is less crowded than it used to be. So there's less people doing it because they're scared of the word no, I guess. Like, don't take this the wrong way, folks, but sales is not a game for pansies. Sales is a game where you've got to have some thick skin. You, you've got to not be afraid to hear the word no. I expect to hear the word no 99% of the time, but I live on the yeses. The yeses pay the bills, but the no's just help me get to the yeses. If you process what's happening with these no's, it helps to inform you. It helps to inform your strategy. It helps you to sharpen the message. You test messages out. You also test methods out. So with a brand new prospect, when you're trying to get them from 0 to inside your sales pipeline on the forecast, I would strongly recommend you pick at least 3 of the methods that I list out there. Again, email, phone, social media, and it's not just direct messages. You can leave comments on their posts. You can share their posts. You could even tag them in posts, although I wouldn't recommend tagging somebody in a post that you don't know. That could backfire on you. Again, you don't want to irritate them. You want to help educate them, inform them, give them something that helps establish a good feeling about you and what you have to offer, right? So don't be afraid to send them gifts, is what I'm saying there, right? Free information. I just put out a video last week. I think it was on Friday that I did it. I created this video. It's 39 minutes long. I'm not asking for anything from anybody who watches it. It is a free gift. You know what I'm doing? I'm reviewing how to use social media, some things on your website, what you can do with your blog content and stuff like that. So it's social media and marketing strategies that people can do on their own. They don't need to hire Bowman Digital Media. Now, can they? Of course they can if they want to. But I'm sending that to every single person. It's going to take me a while, but I'm going to send that to every single person, 30,000 that I'm directly connected to on LinkedIn, just as my way of showing them my appreciation for them being in my network. But think about what I'm doing there that's highly effective and how you could do something similar. What I'm doing is, first of all, I'm reminding people that I still exist. There are people that I connected with back in 2009 on LinkedIn that I haven't probably talked to in, what is that, 15 years? We were connected somewhere along the way back in 2009, and now it's 2024, and we're still connected because who goes back through and disconnects in mass? I mean, that doesn't happen very much. It's a lot of work if you've ever tried it. I actually have done that a few times, and every time I get in like 1,000 deep or 2,000 deep, I'm like, man, this is a lot of work for very little benefit. So if you're in my network, once you're usually in for a long time, unless you irritate me, right? But what I'm trying to do with that is increase my visibility, for one. I'm trying to express my gratitude for them being a part of my LinkedIn network. And it does give them valuable tips that they can use. Again, they don't have to spend any money. That's stuff that everybody pretty much on social media can utilize to increase the ROI. And even if they don't become clients of mine, just establishing that goodwill creates a potential referral source. If they haven't thought about me and my company in a long time or ever, to be frank, right? And I send them a gift, no string attached, that took me an hour basically to create, and it'll take me, hours to send out, but it's worth the investment, I believe. So I'm going to reach out again if you're connected with me on LinkedIn, watch your inbox. It'll happen over time. It's going to take a while to get them all out, but I'll get them out. If you want to find the video faster, let me know. In fact, I'll share the link. I'll find that link and I'll share it in just a second here. If you want to catch it faster, it's on YouTube. I'll go there and grab it here in just a second. But there are some who might watch that video who go, we've been struggling with this, and we are an accounting firm, we're a coach, we're, an HVAC company, we're in commercial real estate, whatever. It's not our deal. We don't want to take the time to inefficiently guess at what marketing we should be doing. This guy, Ira, just sent us a present. He demonstrated that he clearly knows what's going on. And let's just talk to him and see if we can't get him and his team at Bowman Digital Media to facilitate our marketing efforts for us. That is probably going to happen a few times with the 30,000 individual business communications that I put out, right? I expect that to happen at least a few times. I'm banking on that, but I believe that will happen. All right. So if you could do the same thing, what is it that you have that you could share? I was talking with one of my clients this morning who happens to be a CEO executive coach. And I said, hey, why don't you go through and create a video 15 to 30 minutes long and walk through some of the common problems that you are addressing with all your clients, all your new clients when they come on. Could be time management, could be communication, could be, how to inspire and motivate your team, employee retention, whatever the case may be, how to, add new vendors, reduce bottlenecks, all the different things that he coaches people on, intuition development. I said, just create a video, 15 to 30 minutes long that covers the FAQs, the frequently asked questions, and give people a baseline for the type of coaching you do, but don't ask anything in return. And so he's going to create that video, and then my team is going to send it out for him to all his connections, right? We're going to email his CRM. We're going to reach out on LinkedIn and send out the free gift. And I know that that's going to produce good results for him. It's going to help him, get some consultation appointments and some new clients over time. People like it when you communicate with them in a way that doesn't ask them for money, especially, let's get into this. If your first message to somebody is, hey, my name is Ira, you fill in your name, right? I run a blankety blank company, and we do blankety blank services for other business owners just like you. And we know that we can help you if you'll only commit to buying this product or service. Now, if you receive a message, I don't care if that's a text, an email, a direct message, a phone call, voicemail, because let's be honest, you're not taking that call, right? You don't recognize the number. They haven't established who they are with you yet. So you're going to put them in a voicemail, or your secretary, your assistant is going to put them into your voicemail. They're going to leave you what I call a spam message, because it means nothing to you, because they haven't done the proper rapport building. They haven't established the relationship. So they send that to you. What are the odds that you're going to go, oh yeah, I was just looking for somebody who does that? Great timing, and purchase. Now, will that happen sometimes? Of course it will. It absolutely will. Sloppy salesmen make sales all the time. A broken clock's right twice a day. But if you want to increase or improve in your sales technique and get more people to agree to meet with you faster, don't go for the throat. Don't go for the kill shot. Don't ask for the sale until you've earned the right to ask for the sale, until they've shown some interest. So the communication that's going out there, and I see it all over the place. It's like verbal vomit all over the social media posts, all over my my inbox and my email, in my voicemails, in my text messages. I mean, I get bombarded with garbage strategy messages. And sometimes I want to reach out to them and say, hey, when you're tired of getting rejected by 99.999% of the people you send this to, you should call me and I can help you improve your campaigns. Now, I don't do that because that would come off as arrogant, but I think it all the time. I'm like, man, these guys are persistent, but they're missing the mark by a million miles because their approach is wrong. Their strategy is wrong. And so that's what I'm trying to help you guys with today. You need 8 to 12 reach outs. What are you going to say in those 8 to 12 reach outs that will help you be effective? Well, first of all, you want to start trying to change your point of view. Consider yourself on the other side of the message. If you were in their shoes and you didn't know who you were, right? The person that's reaching out, if you didn't know the person that was reaching out, what kind of message would resonate with you? What would get you to accept a conversation? If somebody pours it on really strong or asks you to buy something before they've even talked to you for real, the odds are most people are going to reject that. I know that to be true because I've been doing this a long time, but I want you to understand where we're coming from. So if you consider the messages you put out from the viewpoint of the messages that you receive, I think that will help you get the right, change your mindset, your frame of mind into a space that'll help you create communication that will be more effective. All right. Simple communication, short, easy to digest is almost always better than running at the mouth. If I open an email or a direct message and I've got to scroll like it's, back in the prophecy days when they were writing the Bible, right? I'm not reading that. I don't know you. I don't owe you 5 minutes of my life to read the message and hope that it was something of value. I just delete it. How many people are out there like me? A lot. Now, will some people read it? Absolutely. Will I read it? No, I will not. You got 1 or 2 paragraphs tops. If you write me a message that's 3 sentences or less, I likely will read it 100% of the time. There's very few exceptions to that. It doesn't take much to read it. I can read it. I'd rather read it than just dismiss it. But if I read one and I got to scroll to get to the bottom and it's just a wall of text, I am not reading that if I don't know you. Now, if I know you, it's a whole nother issue, right? We've established a relationship, business rapport of some kind, then absolutely I'll read it. But for strangers out there, if you're reaching out to me and you want to take some notes in your CRM about how to better communicate with Ira Bowman as a prospect for your company, keep it short and sweet. All right. Now, again, we've talked about the channels. We've got the emails. We've got the direct messages. We've got comments on social media posts. We've got direct mail, printed, stamped, or metered and sent out via USPS. You could send a package via UPS or FedEx or whatever, whoever else is delivering these days, right? You can meet people at networking events. Try the different channels, but inside the message that you send, I want you to focus on solutions to problems that you anticipate they have. And I want you to consider not yourself like a doctor prescribing the medication that will fix whatever ails them. And here's why I suggest you stay away from that kind of a message. While it may very well be true, the problem with it is you don't know if it's an issue that they have that they want to resolve. They might be better off for doing it, but they may not want it. And in life, you are going to sell far more if you can generate demand or want as opposed to focusing on need. I'm going to give you a clear, simple example. When you go to a grocery store, I want you to think about, okay, you just walked in, and I don't care if it's your Safeway, your Kroger's, your fill in the blank, whatever the name of your uh, Stater Brothers, I think is the one that we shop at here, right? You're at your Super Walmart, or whatever. I want you to consider you just walked in the store. All right. There are a couple different categories of foods, right? There's the health food, there's the vegetables, there's the fruit, there's the bread, there's the cheese, the milk, then there's the snacks, there's the cookies, there's the dessert, there's the soda pop, the beer, all those things. What do you see more of? Do you see more healthy stuff or do you see more guilty pleasure stuff? Cuz I'll tell you, especially in like convenience stores, it's mostly, especially if you pay attention to what people are actually putting in their carts and putting out on the cash register to purchase, you're going to see a large quantity of guilty pleasure items, chips, desserts, snacks, beverages of all kinds, right? Soda, pop, whatever you want to call it. I'm gonna start a war here. What do you call it? Coke, soda, or pop? Anyways, whatever. Juice, alcohol of any kind, right? Those things are not healthy necessarily. They're they're things that are either full of sugar or are carbs, and you know, but the whole candy industry, you can't check out without seeing candy bars and gum and chips and all these things that for the most part, let's face it, you don't need. You never need a candy bar, right? I can't think of a situation where you need a candy bar, but you might want a candy bar a lot if you're like me, dad bod included. Yes, I always want the candy bar. Do I always buy the candy bar? No, because I have self-control, but I want it. And if you come and make a presentation to me about, buying this new candy bar, Baby Ruth or whatever, Kit Kat, I'm in. I'm in. That easy sell to get Ira to go for the Baby Ruth. I'm just telling you straight up. I like me some Baby Ruth. Okay. Same thing in the chip aisle. I don't need to twist too much my arm to purchase the bag of chips or the ice cream aisle. My kids don't have to work very hard to get me to agree to buy in that tub of ice cream. I'm gonna buy it, right? Now we're going down the vegetable aisle. Now all of a sudden I'm walking by squash and cucumbers and carrots and all kinds of things my body actually needs. Now, being a mature adult, yes, I will grab some of those reluctantly and feign excitement about the carrots, right? Or the grapes. I like the grapes better, but they have more sugar in them, I guess, right? But the fact is, there's many times where I go to the grocery store and I don't buy any of the stuff I quote unquote need. Medications I get prescribed, I'm not a huge medication guy. I don't take a lot. I take it when I have to. Even though it's been prescribed to me by a doctor who says I need it, I don't always take it. I'm just being honest with you, right? So focus your communications on the things that people want. The whole point of that illustration was to kind of get that in your mind. Like, oh, I get it. I'm selling SEO services, for example. And if I reach out to you and say, hey, I can help you improve your SEO, you need it, whether you know it or not. If you have a website, you need SEO work. You really do. But you may not understand that you need it or how it helps or why you would want it. And that's the problem. It isn't that what I have isn't what you need. I haven't given you a reason to want it. You don't want it naturally, then I have to build the want. So this is one of the things that you have to do. Remember in the beginning, I said you have to quickly understand, identify what it is, the style of communication that the person prefers. Short and to the point, or more chewing the fat, right? Long-winded conversations. So you have to identify that. Then you have to identify the marketing channels, the communication channels on how you're going to communicate with them. Phone, text, email, social media, whatever. Direct mail, we've talked about, okay? The next thing that you have to do is figure out, and this is hard to do if you've never met them, but there are clues. We're going to get to how in just a second. There are clues that you can figure this out. But what is it that they actually want? What does their business struggle with, or what could help their business be more successful, that they identify as a want that you can provide. That's like the sweet spot of communication. If you know how to communicate with them as far as communication style, the method to communicate with them through, or the channel that you would use to communicate, and you understand what it is that cranks their motor. What are they excited about? Right? What do they need help with that they want help with? If you can identify those three things, all of a sudden your marketing efforts, your pipeline will be way more successful than it is doing the things that you've been doing the way that you've been doing them, trying to get people to purchase on the first outreach, trying to overwhelm them with long-winded messages that they're not interested in, you know, sending them the message in the wrong channel. So again, because you like email or you don't like talking on the phone, you don't call people on the phone and you send them emails. Well, the person receiving it may hate emails because they get 150 spam emails a day and it's overwhelming. They just don't like it. And they get 6 voicemails a day, but they prefer those. So they call those people back. So we call this an omni-channel marketing campaign. Omni meaning multi. So again, my suggestion to you for these prospects that you've identified, whether you got it from a lead list or however you compiled your target list, right? I want you to identify 3 different channels and use the 3 different channels. But one thing that I want you to add to the message is, hey, quick question. Do you prefer reach outs via email, text, phone call, or direct mail? Just ask them that. They may not tell you, but I'm going to tell you that psychologically, just the fact that you're asking them how they prefer to be communicated with, it shows them something about you that you're going to really appreciate. It shows them that you are considerate. You are not just a selfish sales rep out there who's only concerned with your preferences and making money and putting food on your table. We all need to do that. I understand. Everybody, I think, pretty much understands that, right? We all got to make a living. But people want to do business with other people who are considerate, who have something in their life that extends beyond their own basic wants and desires, right? Most of the communication that happens, if you pay attention, is self-centered. It's all around what they do and how they do it and what makes them feel good and what they need and their problems and so forth. So when you send out a communication or a series of communications that proves that you're not like that, that helps you set yourself apart from all the other people that are doing this the wrong way. Right? That's one of the ways that you can start the relationship off on the right foot. Okay. So you're going to send out 3 messages. You're going to keep them short. You're going to keep them short until you talk to them, right? Once you talk to them and now your job is to identify their communication style preference as far as longer or shorter, then you can augment and change the communication lengths at that point if they prefer the chit chat stuff, right? The rapport building communication. Okay. So now let's get into social media content. Let's get into the email content. Let's talk about specifically what you would do. Okay. So until you actually communicate with them, what I want you to focus on, think case studies. This is the best way I can explain it. You have hopefully had clients that had problems that you helped resolve that are common or fairly common in the industries with which you serve. So your communications primarily, not 100%, but primarily at least 50%, should be centered around how you have helped people with these problems. It's not a sales pitch, but what you really want people to do is when they see the message, when they watch the video, look at the graphic, read the text, however you've communicated this, and we'll get into that again in just a second. But I want you to be focusing on, like for me, for example, I'm in the marketing space. I don't come out a lot of times. In fact, I don't know that I've ever done this and said, "Hey, at Bowman Digital Media, we have capacity to serve X amount more clients. And if you're looking for a marketing client, we'd like to talk to you. We have programs that start at, $750 a month or $1,500 a month or $3,000 a month. And here's what you would get with those." You don't see those kinds of posts from me. Why? Because I know how ineffective they are. It turns people away. Like they don't want to feel like you are just sending them an advertisement all the time, right? You could mix in an ad here or there, especially for like special events or a limited time offer or something like that. I'm not saying you can't ever do it, but I'm saying if that's the steady diet of the content that you're putting out, that's why you're struggling in most cases. All right. So instead, what you do is you say, okay, what do I do at Bowman Digital Media? What does my team do? We do marketing. We help people with their social media. We help people with their websites. We build websites. We do graphic design. We do search engine optimization so they rank higher on Google. We do photography work, videography work. Those are the things that we do. All right. But our objective with all of it is twofold. First, we're trying to help our clients increase their visibility. So if you're watching me on social media or you get a message from me, likely you're going to see something to do with that. Get you out of obscurity, increase your visibility, build your online profile, your presence online. Those are the messages that I'll put out there for my company. Okay. Now, what's the other part? The big part. The purpose of increasing visibility is not just for vanity, right? Like number of views or shares or comments or clicks, all that stuff. That by itself is irrelevant. It's a needed step so that we can do the most important thing. So, what do we do at Bowman Digital Media that I talk about all the time? It's one of the very first things you'll see if you go to Bowman Digital Media. In fact, I'm just going to put my money where my mouth is. Let me open it up and I'll show you what you see when we come on when you come on my website. Digital marketing SEO services. Yes, that's what we do, but we can increase sales and visibility for you. And that is it in a nutshell. This is why people hire us. Okay. So if you're struggling with sales or you're, you know, somewhere on page 12 of Google and no one ever finds you, that's what we do. We help increase your visibility and we help you, in turn, increase your sales. So we help drive traffic to our clients' websites, which increases their sales. We help them rank higher on Google, looking to increase sales without sending cold emails. And I've got all these messages on here, and I'm not going to go through this because this is not a commercial for Bowman Digital Media. It's not the point. I'm just showing you that that's the kind of messaging that you want to lead with. How you help them resolve the problems that they have that they want to solve. If you talk to any business owner out there that's worth their salt, one of the things that they're always thinking about is how can I increase revenue, right? So as a marketing company, we're focused on that because we know that's what our clients want. That's what our prospects want. Whether they hire us or not is a whole nother story. But the fact is, business owners, CEOs are interested in increasing revenue. How can we figure out the bottlenecks, take over our competition, not take over, but overcome our competition and increase output? These are the things that people are trying to do. Hey, well, my friend Mariella is on. I was thinking about you today, Mariella. I hope you guys are doing good. I know that you got a ton of rain in Santa Barbara. We got over an inch here, which is a lot for us. But anyways, I'm glad to hear that your power is back on and you're doing good. So true to know your prospects. It's 100% true. You can't sell bricks to a chef. I mean, you could if the chef wants bricks. But if the chef already has a pizza oven that's in good repair, the odds that you're going to sell them bricks, probably not as high. So you have to understand what they want and what motivates them. Now, how do you do that? A very simple way. It takes a little work. Okay, you've got to be a detective. And if you guys don't know my backstory from social media. A lot of you have been following me since the year 2018 and on, but you weren't connected to me before 2018, and there's a very good reason for that. The way I use social media completely changed in 2018. But I joined LinkedIn back in 2009, and for 9 years, the only thing I was really doing on LinkedIn, I was not making posts. I was not commenting on people's posts. I was using it as a research tool. So I would look up, back then I was in the Bay Area, and I was selling to architects, engineers, and construction companies, general contractors primarily, but some, subcontractors, especially later, uh, as things changed in the market. But I would go on and try to figure out, okay, well, who are the people that I need to talk to? And I was looking for principals and the owners of the companies, basically, right? Or I was looking for superintendents of projects, project managers. I had a variety of people that I was looking for, depending on what type of industry we're in. Okay, but inside that construction, architecture, engineering, construction company is where I worked for a long time. So what I would do is I would go to LinkedIn and I would utilize the search function, and I would put in locations, I would put in company names, I would put in job titles, and I would hit the search and I would see who they were. Then I would go to their LinkedIn profiles and try to learn as much as I could about them. Then I would go over to Facebook and try to figure out what their personality type was. And this is a step that most of you are missing. You live on one social media channel and one social media channel only, which is a mistake for a variety of reasons, which we can talk about in detail. I've talked about that on other shows. Go back to my show where I reviewed the top 7 social media platforms for 2023, for example. And we talk about the volumes of Facebook and Instagram and YouTube and Twitter and Pinterest, and they all have far more volume, frankly, than LinkedIn, right? Even TikTok. But one of the things that's awesome about that strategy, that still works to this day, by the way. You can use LinkedIn as a sleuth tool to figure out about their professional background, but then go over to their Instagram, go over to their Facebook, and figure out what motivates them. What are they passionate about? Sports teams, their kids, a pet. Maybe they like photography or travel. Maybe they're married. Maybe they're single. You can find out if they're conservative or liberal. You can find out if they're religious. You can find out all kinds of things about people by just going to another platform. Usually Facebook, it was back then the predominant one. I like Instagram. That's my favorite social media platform if you're curious. TikTok, you can find out a lot about people. But then when you meet with them, you have things to talk about that that they're interested in. And I would do this like a champ. I'm telling you, I was really good at it. So here's how I would do it. Okay, I'm going to play it out, the whole strategy for you, so you can utilize this if you want. You can still do this. It works today. Okay. So you go on LinkedIn, you find out who in the company that you want to talk to. You find out everything that they want to give you as far as their professional background. Go find them on social media. Use the image, the picture, to kind of make sure to verify that you're looking at the right person. Sometimes that's tricky, in full disclosure, because you'd be surprised the images that some people use on their different social media platforms. That's very different than the professional images that they use on LinkedIn. Not everybody's like that, but there are some. It's tough. Okay. But you find them, you go through their content. It's social media. Now, for any of you who are worried about, like, hey, that's there's something that's not correct about that, like that you're not respecting their privacy. Social media is not privacy. It's public. You're not doing anything wrong. Okay. I've had to answer that question for people before. They're like, hey, I don't know about that. That feels like there's something icky about that. There's nothing icky about it. It's not like I'm breaking into their secret stuff. They've shared this publicly, right? Now, if they have their settings incorrect, I can't help that, but it's fair game. It's public domain. Okay. So I would go through and I would take notes and put it in my CRM. Back then, I think I was using Goldmine. If you guys want a blast of the past, I think I was using Goldmine, and then SAP, R3, right? And then Salesforce, as things have changed. And now I use HubSpot. But anyways, the different CRMs that have existed that I've used over my career. Okay. So I would put notes about the prospects inside their profile. All right. Now, the next thing I would do is I would visit their profile on a regular basis. Again, I was not making comments. Now, I suggest making comments now. That is a huge benefit to you because most people, when they make posts, I know everybody likes to think they're an influencer, right? You're trying to be some famous person, but most people do not experience that, frankly. They'll put up a post on social media and they'll get a couple comments here or there. So their posts are pretty much not very active. And I'm not trying to be rude to anybody. It's reality. Okay. So if you get somebody that you don't know who makes supportive comments about whatever it is that you posted, they're not trying to sell you anything, at least not directly in the comments. They're not coming off like a spam person. They're not stalking you, sending you a message, hey, I want to, connect so I can talk to you about how my company can help you, blah, 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 blah. Forget all that, right? I'm talking about just add value to the post in a comment and do that on a regular basis as you're going and checking them out. But what you're really looking for, this is the gold, where they're going to be out in public. They're going to go to a trade show. They're going to go to a networking event. They're going to go somewhere like that. Now, you should then go there too, whenever possible, and meet them face to face. Now, when you meet them, you probably don't want to say, hey, I've been stalking you on social media, checking out your profile, seeing what you're interested in. You don't want to do that. But what you want to do is just casually work in the conversation the things that they're interested about. So if they're interested in sports, a specific team, like if you happen to notice the logo colors of Bowman Digital Media are silver and black, right? That's because I'm a huge Raiders fan. I don't think that's a secret, right? If you don't know that about me, you're probably not paying attention. All right. So if you come to me at a networking event and you start talking about the Raiders and you can carry an intelligent conversation about the Raiders, I promise you two things are going to happen. I'm going to stand there and talk to you. And after the event is over, when I think back about the people I met, you're one of the people I'm going to remember because we were talking about something that I was interested in. And so that's how I did social media for 10 years, basically. That's all I did. I didn't make posts. I didn't care about connection numbers, vanity metrics of any kind. Couldn't give a rip. I thought social media was the stupidest thing. I still, frankly, think it's pretty dumb, honestly. People share way too much of their drama on social media. People get too offended too fast on social media, and people forget that it's okay if somebody has a different opinion than you. You can still be kind and respect them and not their. You don't have to agree with their position to respect them as a person, right? So there's problems that people have developed over the years with social media, but social media can be a very, very valuable tool in helping you increase your sales if you follow what I just talked about. That methodology, it's not the fastest way to build, but it's one of the best ways that you'll ever hear, especially for free. A professional sales rep, and I've trained hundreds, if not thousands of sales reps over my career. I've been just an individual contributor. I've been a director of sales, and I've been everything in between, right? I've done it for large companies, two of the largest print companies in the United States. I've done it for mom and pop shops that had, 5 employees. So I've done it for all kinds of companies. I've done it in Texas, Ohio, Nevada, California, right? I've moved around. I've been in different parts of the industries that I served. In the print industry when I started, I was only selling hardware. And then about halfway through my career, I switched over to the graphic side and got into the graphics and all that stuff. And, different substrates, different printers, different client applications, different types of clients. Again, as I've worked for different types of companies, I've worked with all kinds of client size vendors from the MGM group, Simon Properties, some of the larger companies that I've worked with, to some one-man bands, solo entrepreneur people that, they did everything themselves. And I'll tell you something that works regardless of where you are, what industry you're in, or who you serve. If you can figure out what people are interested in and talk to them about that, they will like you almost immediately, especially if you let them do the majority of the talking, which is really easy if you just ask questions. Ask open-ended questions and shut the heck up and let them talk. I struggle with that still, by the way. Ira likes to hear himself talk. It is what it is. That's why I do this show, I guess. I don't know. But anyways, So go on LinkedIn, find your target prospects, go to their Twitter, go to their Facebook, go to their Instagram, go to their TikTok, figure out what it is that they're posting about. When you see their face light up in a positive way, make that note that I want to talk to them about that. And then when you see them in person, which again, you're looking for, hey, they're announcing, like, I'm going to be in Las Vegas this weekend doing event photography for a couple different Super Bowl parties, right? So if you were trying to catch me as a client of yours and you're smart, you'll go buy a ticket to to one of the events that I just put, hey, I'm going to be here on my Facebook and my Instagram. It's up. I haven't posted on LinkedIn yet, but you got to find me on these other platforms. That's why you go to more of these channels. Okay. So you go over there, you see where I'm going to be, you buy your ticket. I think you can get the cheapest ticket, $75 for the one party I'm going to. And then you could spend like $250 for a VIP ticket. That's where I'm going to probably be hanging out. So you might want to invest in the VIP ticket if you're trying to do this, right? But then when you get there, talk to me about the Raiders. And watch what happens. Watch what happens. I'm telling you, it's not rocket science. This is all really kind of basic sales. I haven't said anything that's like, oh my gosh, way crazy. You have to be a rocket scientist to figure this out. But you have to put it all together. It takes time, it takes effort, it takes conscious caring about the prospects that you're trying to reach out to. And then, of course, the bottom line is you have to deliver whatever it is that you're selling, right? So if you're telling them you can help increase their visibility and generate sales for them, you have to do it, or you're going to ruin your reputation and you're going to go out of business, right? Because they'll spread the words. People are 10 times more likely to share bad news than they are positive news. Why is that? Let's get into that real fast. Here's why. When you do or you fulfill the way the service agreement, your product delivers the expectation, they paid you your fee. So in their mind, rightfully so, you're even. Why should they refer you? They hired you to do a thing or to give them your product to do a specific thing. It worked. Great. That's what I expected. That's not over the top. That's just you met the minimum threshold. So they don't feel obligated to share that. Now, there are caveats to that, of course. Sometimes they've had 3 or 4 bad experiences with some people who didn't know what they're doing. They came over to you, you gave them what you promised, but the difference is so drastic that they feel compelled to share. So that does happen. But most of the time, you're giving them what they paid for. Thank you very much. Got a comment from Shireen Voss. Thank you so much. Appreciate you watching and for your positive support. All right. So when you do what you're supposed to do and they get what they were supposed to get, 10% of the time, let's say, they'll share something positive on your behalf. Could be a review, could be a post, could be they let a neighbor know or a colleague know, something like that. But most of the time, they're going to keep it to themselves and keep moving because they're on to the next problem. And that's just the way human brains work. We're constantly working on the things that we have to do, right? The problems that we have to resolve. That's how our minds work most of the time. There's things we want to do, there's things we intend to do, there's things we should do, and then there's the crap of the pile of crap that we have to deal with, right? That's where the pressure is. So we try to alleviate the pressure so we can reduce our stress. That's how the human brain works. On the reverse side of that, however, when you promise them, you're making these claims that your product or your service will resolve an issue that they have that they want to resolve, they buy it from you or your company, and then it doesn't work, they're 10 times more likely to share that. Why? Because you injured them, you misrepresented, and that's how they take it. And they want to help other people avoid that pain, right? Got a comment. We've had a lot of success paying referral fees to satisfy clients who refer new clients. Do you agree with this policy? I am not opposed to, I wouldn't say paying referral fees, but I would say rewarding those who have had a good experience. I certainly appreciate when my clients do refer me out. So an incentive, if you will, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. It's not unethical. You're not going to somebody who didn't utilize your service. Now, for those of you who aren't familiar with my friend Mariella, her husband Steve is a brilliant musician, and he does music lessons based out of Santa Barbara, California. They teach guitar, bass, and drums. And I think it's the trombone, but it could be another one. But there's a wind instrument in there that I'm forgetting. But anyways, so for those students that are happy with your services, to incentivize them, I don't think there's a problem with that at all. Now, you do have to be careful. Terms and conditions on certain things, you want to make sure you're reading those agreements and following the rules. So like Google reviews, for example, you're not supposed to pay for those, right? So you can't just say, hey, I'll give you $50 if you leave me a Google review. You're not supposed to do that. However, I'll give you a solution that I came up with for some of my clients that works really well. What they do is they go to their Google reviews once a month. And for any new reviews that are left, they put them in a drawing. They actually have a live video. And I think they're doing this on TikTok, if I remember. It might be Instagram. But anyways, one of them. They draw a name from the hat, and they give that person a gift card, I believe, to Starbucks. And I think it's $25. So, they have an incentive for people to leave a review, but they're not specifically paying anybody for the review. They're just rewarding those or one of the people from the reviews they got that month. It's very inexpensive, fun. They've gamified it is the term here, and that works pretty well. Now, look, there's a lot of things that I wanted to cover today, but I just looked at the clock and we're already 10 minutes over, and I wanted to do this in an hour. So I'm probably going to touch on this on my next episode again and get into how to set up your content for posts for social media, how to set up your messages for emails and direct message and things like that. We'll get into the specifics the next time, but it will not be next Monday. Monday the 12th, I'm going to be on a cruise ship with my family. I'm taking them on a 4-day cruise. We're going to go see Catalina Island and Ensenada down in Mexico. We're going to have fun. So I will not be here on Monday, even though I did get this. So I got their Wi-Fi package. I technically could do the show from the ship, but I promise you, I'm going to be on daddy time and husband time. I'm trying to remind my family that I work so hard to provide for them, but I'm going to try to be present with them on the boat as much as possible and not doing this stuff. So I will miss you guys next week, but I look forward to seeing you when I come back. Like I said, on the, what is that? The 19th, I guess, whatever that Monday is, the following Monday. So in 2 weeks, we'll continue this conversation. We'll get into some of the specifics on how to set up the message itself, how to compose it prior to you having a dialogue, a correspondence, a return correspondence from the prospect. Because I think that's where most of you are struggling, right? How to go from a blind, what we call cold outreach. How do you turn cold outreach into a warm prospect? So we'll get into that, the specifics, utilizing graphics, videos, hashtags, sending out email, direct mail. We'll talk about frequencies. Remember, we talked about a lot today, but the few things that are fundamental takeaways, just as a reminder of what we talked about in the show. First of all, how are you communicating with them? Are you sending them the channel that you're using? Are you using your preference or their preference? And if you're just using one channel and they're continually ignoring you, then the odds are that's the wrong channel. You need to try 3 different channels. I suggest phone, email, and social media direct mail. Those 3. And then if you want to add the 4th one, direct mail. Print something up, buy the stamp, mail it to them. Why? Because the odds are the phone voicemail box for that person is not crowded. In other words, there's not a lot going on there. So they're not irritated when they get a voicemail. They'll actually listen to it, or they'll read the transcript if you're leaving it on their cell phone voicemail. Or their actual mailbox, the United States Postal Service mailbox, is a lot less crowded today than it used to be. So try, printing up. I think you guys have seen my pocket buddies before. I've shown them on the show, but a simple postcard, right? This is a 3 by 6, right? 3.5 by 6, something like that. You can buy these pretty inexpensive, like 19 cents a piece or something like that to print it. This one happens to be double-sided in color, right? So you can get 1,000 of them, get 5,000 of them, get however many you want, and then mail these things out. Go into their actual post office box, and you might find that your message is received better there. And it's just because of this thing called oh my gosh, my brain just froze on me. Fatigue. Sorry. Yeah. So email fatigue is a real thing. Direct messaging is a fatigue thing because people are overwhelmed. They get so much of it. You don't stand out. It's hard to get them to actually read it because there's just so much volume. The tendency, the inclination is to just mass delete stuff, right? Mark it as junk and move on. But because people are not getting as much direct mail these days, you can send out a message, right? And I've got on here, I'm trying to make it so you can read it, but I've got, what we do and how we help. See how I set that up? That messaging is very, very on purpose. What we do and how we help, because they don't care about my history, my staff's history, where we're from, how much we charge. None of that matters yet. What they need to know before anything is how we help, right? What we do and how we help. So if you send out something like that, you can garner really good results. And I hand those out in person too. That one was designed to be handed out in person, not mailed, right? But set up your communications, your business communications, deliver them in a variety of ways. Keep your message short, focused on their wants, not their needs, and how you can help them accomplish what they want. And then again, utilize the information that's available to you in the beginning on their other social media profiles, specifically the Twitter, the Facebook, the Instagram. See what they're interested in. And then when you meet them in person, and make a point of finding them in person and out in public at a networking event of some kind, right? And then chat them up about the thing they're interested in. I offered as uh, as evidence, anecdotal evidence about how you would do it with me. You would talk about photography. You could talk about my wife and kids. You could, careful though, make sure it's positive. So some people want to lecture me that I have too many kids. I have 8, so it is what it is. But I'm passionate about my family, and then my number one topic in my whole life has pretty much been the Raiders. I'm a long-suffering Raiders fan. I wish the Super Bowl's in Las Vegas, but the Raiders are not playing. So that's painful to watch our arch rivals, the Chiefs, playing our crosstown rivals for many years in the Bay Area when we were in Oakland, the 49ers playing in the Super Bowl. So if you want to rib me on Saturday or Sunday, you certainly can. There's not much I can retort with, not factually anyways, to justify why the Raiders stink, but it is what it is. However, but if you talk to me about how much you like, Fred Stabler or Bo Jackson or Jim Plunkett or Howie Long or Tim Brown or any of the amazing Raiders, Marcus Allen, I mean, there's so many good ones, right? Um, you know, that's the kind of thing that can establish a rapport that will help you down the road if you're not in a rush and going straight for the kill shot. And what I mean by that is you're trying to close them on a sale before you've established any relationship with them. People want to do business with people they know, like, and trust. They need to know who you are. They need to like you. They need to trust you. You also have to demonstrate how you can help them resolve the problem that they're interested in resolving. It's great if you have the cure for cancer, as long as the person who has the cancer is interested in getting the cancer cured. There are some people that have it who have just decided, I'm not going to worry about it for whatever reason. So even though you have the cure, they're not interested in it. You're not going to sell them, right? But if you can demonstrate how you could help them, like my son's on here. Well, he just said goodbye, so maybe he's already left. But my son loves basketball. If you were to go up to my son and talk to him about basketball, and maybe you had a product that would help him be more efficient in getting rebounds or be a better shooter or maybe faster recovery, any of those things, he would probably be interested in that. No, he's still here, right? So you talk to this guy, look at his profile picture. It's a clue. This kid, I'm telling you, is absolutely in love with basketball. So if you had some product or service that was related to helping him improve his game in basketball, or maybe you had something like memorabilia or you know an outfit of some kind, right? He loves the Warriors, which I don't understand, and he loves the Milwaukee Bucks, which makes absolutely no sense. And the kid doesn't root for the Lakers like he should, but that's just because he's a bad kid. But anyways, right? If you offered him something with Warriors gear, a Steph jersey or a Giannis jersey, I mean, that kid you would have him eating out of the palm of your hand, right? So that's the kind of stuff that you can learn about people on their other social media profiles. And notice he's watching from Facebook. A lot of you with your business communications, for whatever reason, you've just considered that, hey, I need to focus solely on, and then you fill in the blank channel, whether it's LinkedIn or YouTube or Facebook, and you've got single tunnel vision because you think that's the only place where people are. I'm telling you, the numbers bear this out. There is enough Americans, for example, if you're going after the American audience, on Pinterest, on TikTok, on Twitter, which is now X, on YouTube, on Facebook. There's 3 billion monthly active users every month on Facebook. You're telling me none of those 3 billion are interested in what you're doing, but you're not putting out any message there? That's silly, right? YouTube, 2.6 billion monthly active users right now. 81% of American adults will watch a YouTube video every single month. That's the highest percentage of any of the platforms, right? You want to talk to me about LinkedIn and how great it is? I love this argument. LinkedIn's my business to business platform. I only want to focus on LinkedIn. Okay. How many Americans are on LinkedIn every month? Do you know the answer to that question? I do. It's far less than you might think. It's about 90 million. It's about 90 million Americans on LinkedIn any given month. They only have 310 monthly active users, 310 million monthly active users. Facebook has 10 times that. YouTube has 10 times that. And the number of Americans by percentage that are on YouTube, 81% per month. Facebook, 60, I think it's 64%. LinkedIn, I don't even think it's 40%. I have to double check that number. I don't have that one off the top of my head. But 23% of the overall users on LinkedIn are from the United States. The other 77% are from outside the United States. So does it make sense for you to have one single channel? It doesn't, for a variety of reasons. But if you're going to pick one single channel, you probably want to pick a channel that has more of your target audience in it. And those are the kinds of things that you hire somebody like us to help you with, because we don't expect you to know that. But email marketing is smart. Pay-per-click advertising is smart. Voicemail outreach, right? Outbound sales calls, smart. Direct mail, printing and sending stuff out, smart. Omni-channel is what we call it. Don't put all your eggs in one basket, and make sure that you are thinking like your prospect. If you do that, if you reach them in a variety of ways, 8 to 12 times, you're sending them stuff that they're interested in, and you're not asking for a sale before you really should, then your odds of landing them as a client will go way up. Anyways, I'm way over time, 21 minutes over. So I'm going to sign off now. Again, just as a reminder, I will be out next week on a cruise, be 5 o'clock somewhere in Mexico, but I'll be back the following week and we'll continue this conversation. We'll pick up where we left off here and we'll talk about strategies, specifically how to create the elements, video content, graphics content, what hashtags to use, what platforms to use, and things of that nature, what to put in your marketing materials so that you can be effective when they see it. They don't just throw it away. Okay. So that's what we'll cover next time. The show airs Mondays, 11 a.m. Pacific time, 2 p.m. Eastern time. We're live on 3 channels, which should tell you something about my strategies, right? Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn. I hope to see you in 2 weeks. Have a great week. If I don't see you around social media, find me, make comments. Let's talk. Let's be friends. But have a great week, everybody. Thanks for watching. My name is Ira Bowman.